Hello everyone, I'm Mark Copolov. I'm interviewing one of the most influential and revered musicians in the history of popular music, Brian Wilson. As a founder and leader of the iconic 60s band The Beach Boys, Brian created music for generations of music lovers to enjoy. We will be focusing on Brian's solo CD, That Lucky Old Sun. Hello Brian, this is Mark Copolov in Melbourne.
Hi Mark, how are you?
Good, how are you going?
Good.
Brian Wilson, the leader, main songwriter, producer, arranger, singer and bassist of the Beach Boys, but I'm talking to you as Brian Wilson, the solo artist, about your 11th solo album, That Lucky Old Sun. The last time we spoke, Brian, was when you were doing a promotional video for this CD, so at 67, you're still very active, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You must enjoy it a lot.
Yes, very much.
Well, if we start off with That Lucky Old Sun, is your musical tribute to California. But I found it interesting that you chose a fairly obscure Louis Armstrong song written by Dizzy Gillespie called
I just wanted to do something creative, and spiritual.
Interesting song to choose.
Yes, I like it very much.
And you changed it quite a bit from the original arrangement.
Yeah, I rearranged the chords of it, yeah.
I'm talking with Brian Wilson about his CD, That Lucky Old Sun. Going on to Morning Beat, you co-wrote this song with your co-producer, Scott Bennett, as your tribute to Los Angeles.
Right.
And to me, it encapsulated LA so well because for 17 years, my parents used to live a stone's throw from where you grew up in Hawthorne. They lived in Santa Monica near the pier.
Oh, right.
And you sing about it in your song. And you also sing about the maze of the Hollywood Hills and about heading to the ocean for a view that would kill. So to me, Brian, this song makes me want to visit LA again, as I just love that city.
Yeah, I know you do.
Great city. What would you like to say about LA? How would you describe it?
I think LA has a lot of good restaurants.
Yeah, and the sun.
Yeah, right.
The harmonies on this track are superb. Are they the same singers, the Wonder Mints, that I heard on your Live at the Roxy CD?
Right.
It's the same guys.
Yeah, I like them very much.
On this CD, you've alternated narrative tracks with music tracks on Venice Beach. You've conjured up terrific images of Venice Beach in LA, which one of your old co-writing partners, Van Dyke Parks, with whom you wrote such classics as Heroes and Villains and the Smile album. It must have been great working with Van Dyke again.
Yeah, he's quite the music person.
Really? That's a big compliment coming from you, Brian.
Yeah, he's very good at music.
You really must like the guy because I read your 1991 autobiography, Wouldn't It Be Nice? And in it, you explained that when you first met Van Dyke Parks back in the 60s, you felt sorry for him because he couldn't then afford a car, so you bought a Volvo for him.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good friend.
Yes.
All right, well, so many of the images of Venice Beach in this narrative include hucksters, hustlers and hawkers. My memories of visiting Venice Beach is unlike anything I'd seen anywhere in the world, in that it was full of people on roller skates, guys playing guitars, volleyball players and people selling hot dogs. It was full of incredible, assorted, weird and wonderful people just having fun in the LA sun. It's an amazing place. There's nothing like it on earth, is there?
No, there isn't.
And do you go down there once in a while, Brian, to check it out?
Every once in a while, yeah. All
right, well, next is Mexican Girl. Now, this is another song you co-wrote with your co-producer, Scott Bennett, who plays some very nice Spanish guitar on this track. How did you two guys get together initially?
Well, I like the way he talked. So I asked him if he could write lyrics. He said he'd try, and he turned out to be a great lyricist.
It's also nice to hear the mariachi sound, as I visited Mexico City once, and this song certainly encapsulates the sound and culture of that wonderful country.
We tried to capture the Mexican feeling,
It's got that fantastic sound in it, hasn't it?
Yes.
All right, well, next is Going Home. Now, this track proves that Brian Wilson can still rock, and this song also contains a mean harmonica solo from Tommy Morgan.
Right.
So you still love writing the rock and roll, Brian?
Yes, I love rock and roll music, yeah.
Now, Brian, I'd like to ask you some general questions. Some critics have described your songwriting as follows. Brilliant, influential, a genius of melody and chords, the Gershwin of his generation, the Orson Welles of rock. But to me, the most appropriate description is that your songwriting is heartfelt, as you always seem to write directly from the heart. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I wrote from my soul and my heart, right, yeah.
And I was wondering if you could explain this paradox. To many people, some of your music sounds simple, but as an old guitar player myself, I know that under that sometimes so-called simple sound, you create and produce produce is very complex music. So how do you make very complex music sound so simple?
I don't know. I learned it from Phil Spector, a lot how to produce records.
He taught you a lot, did he?
Yeah, he did.
That's interesting, because I'm an old friend of Mike Stoller's, and he trained Phil Spector, so it's quite an interesting thing. I suppose a lot of people have learnt through you in the studio too, Brian, with you teaching them how to produce great sounds.
Yeah, well, my brothers learned from me to produce. They produce too.
Now, I want to ask you a few questions about you and your old friends, the Beatles, but first, a few quotes from them. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and the Beatles' producer, Sir George Martin, have all stated that what challenged them the most musically was not the Rolling Stones, as many people thought, but it was you, Brian. Paul McCartney said, "Sometimes Brian's music makes me cry." And George Martin said, "Pet Sounds was an album that became the criterion of excellence." What do you think of those comments? It must have been wonderful to hear that.
Well, yeah, they made Sgt. Pepper after they heard Pet Sound.
Absolutely. Well, I interviewed another ex-Beach Boy, and this is relevant to Pepper, Bruce Johnson, and he told me how in 1966 he played your groundbreaking Beach Boys album Pet Sounds to John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and it was that album that inspired them to write their classic Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. So what was your reaction when you heard about their reaction to Pet Sounds?
Well, I couldn't believe it. I was so proud, when they told me that.
Now, what was your reaction when you heard that Paul McCartney said that your wonderful song God Only Knows from the Pet Sounds album was, quote, the most beautiful song ever recorded?
I was very proud when I heard about that. Yeah, very much.
I can imagine John and Paul sitting in Studio 2 at Abbey Road Studios in 1966 talking about God Only Knows. So isn't it ironic that you were in the exact same studio recording God Only Knows for the TV show Live at Abbey Road? So what was it like recording in the same studio that your main competition recorded in throughout the 60s?
Well, it was a very good studio, very good engineers, and a very good sounding room, and we had a lot of fun.
Did you feel their presence in the room?
Yes, I did.
When you finished recording your masterpiece Good Vibrations in 1966, which the Beatles' publicist Derek Taylor described as a pocket symphony, Mike Love, the lead singer of the Beach Boys, said, "This song will either make or break our career."
Well, no, what it did was it actually made it because it was a #1 record.
Oh, absolutely. But I suppose Mike was saying he wasn't too sure whether it was going to be a big hit or not.
Well, see, he didn't know because it was kind of a complex record, so he wasn't able to tell what it would do.
How do you normally go about writing a song, Brian? Do you normally write the lyrics first and then the music around them?
No, first the melody and then the lyrics.
Always a melody first, okay.
Yeah.
Well, regarding you as an arranger, Carly Simon told me that what made you stand out as a unique arranger was how you have an innate ability to arrange all parts of the complex arrangements and harmonies in your head. I suppose that's a gift you're born with and one that you can't learn at school.
Yeah, I actually learned, I came very natural. I learned a lot.
Now, regarding accolades that you've received, Brian, you've received so many throughout your career, including Grammys, the induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, the UK's prestigious award and the Novello Award for Lifetime Achievement. Would I be correct in saying your proudest award was the one you received in December 2007, which represents America's highest artistic tribute, the Kennedy Center Award?
Oh, that was a big thrill. Diana Ross was there, Steve Martin. I remember that night. We had a great time. I was very proud of myself that night.
In 2001, you were given a tribute concert by your peers, including Sir George Martin, Elton John, Carly Simon, Jimmy Webb, Paul Simon, your daughters Carney and Wendy and Wilson Phillips, as well as many other stars. I've got the DVD, and I reckon Billy Joel, who used to open for the Beach Boys years ago, stole the night with his rendition of your classic 1964 Beach Boys song, Don't Worry Baby. That concert must have been very humbling for you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I love the song, and I love Billy Joel, too.
Amazing talent. Did you get to see him and Elton John in concert together?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. It was great.
Now, to finish off, I'm talking with Brian Wilson about his CD, That Lucky Old Son. I want to ask you about Southern California. In the CD credits, you give thanks, which includes a following emotional tribute. You say, "To my beloved late brothers Carl and Dennis, I miss you every day of my life." You also acknowledge them being such an integral part of the Beach Boys in this song, where you wrote, "I had this dream, singing with my brothers in harmony, supporting each other, tailwinds, wheels spin down the Pacific coast, surfing on the AM, heard those voices again.
Yeah, Scott wrote those. That's a very good lyric.
Obviously reflected exactly what you were thinking, Brian.
Right.
So when you recorded this CD at the famous Round Capitol Studio building in Los Angeles, where you recorded your early classic Beach Boys songs with your brothers, it must have been pretty tough going back into those same studios now after all those years.
Well, it was a very emotional experience for us, kind of sentimental, about that.
Now, in this song, you also wrote, and I'll quote you here, you said, "Fell asleep in the band room, woke up in history." So, Brian, what do you believe is the best and worst part of being world famous?
Well, one part is you get to be people love you. The other part is you feel a little bit self-conscious and paranoid,
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit hard to even walk down the street without people asking for autographs.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time, and I feel a little bit kind of like paranoid and apprehensive about that, but I can handle it.
So in concluding, Brian, if I was asked to describe you in one word, that one word would be survivor. Because even though you've had a lifetime of ups and downs, which even includes you being deaf in the right ear since childhood, you managed to reach stratospheric heights in the music industry, and you continue to record and tour. I just wanted to wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
And for all the Brian Wilson fans, this is a terrific CD, which also comes with the DVD on the making of this CD.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. Bye-bye now.